I'm back. We're going to give it a second for the commercial to roll. I know you can't hear what I'm saying for the first couple seconds. So, didn't I say I was going to do it in this? I did believe I was going to do it in this. I did believe that I was going to do it in this. KSA space stations. Yeah, that'll be fine, actually. Let's go ahead and resume from here. And let's go ahead and set up the game music. So I'm good to go, guys. I am good to go. I'm live. That commercial is rolling. There's not anything I can do about that. Twitch got to get paid. Twitch definitely got to get paid. What I'm trying to do is go out to the Orbital Hilton, fly it. There we go. Outstanding. All right, all right, all right. 8 o'clock. It's time to go. I need to have a good F5, if no video. There we go. Thank you, Poison Gold. Thank you, Poison Gold. Yes, you didn't listen to what he just said. Do you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? Yes. All I'm doing is coming out here to the Orbital Hilton so I can do this. No. Do this. Apparently we've lost our spin. Let's bring that KSP music, and we are live with Kerbal Space Academy. SSTO, Design and Piloting. Alright. And let me do this. Good to go, live and ready to stream. You guys that are here a little bit early, you're not here too early. That's interesting that the station is still spinning. That's them E keys, yo. Typing them E's are doing that to it. Haha. How am I? Am I fading into Kethane? By the way, if I start to fade into Kethane, y'all let me know. It does happen sometimes. I definitely get the Kethane effect as the lighting changes in my room here. So, let us see what we got. Muckmo, what's going on? Spartan, what's going on? That's the Hilton. We are going to be designing a spaceplane. Probably 2 spaceplanes this evening. And we're going to design one spaceplane that's just a little simple, single guy shuttle up to get to the Hilton. That's going to be the easy one. Just to go over some of the very, very basic concepts. We're going to turn around in the second hour. We're going to apply those basic concepts that we learn to a bigger spaceplane. I think it's going to be a true transfer sort of deal. Something that can bring, let's say, at least 2 or 3 hitchhikers up to the Orbital Hilton. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't think we'd do a spaceplane that could do 8. Let's just say that we'd have 8, and that would be the Hilton SSTO courtesy shuttle. The single CS, the single courtesy shuttle to orbit. Or something like that. Hagruma, what's going on? Dugotaz, what's going on? Ola to yourself, good friend. Everybody get the video back, hopefully, with the F5 there. I should be live. You shouldn't have commercials. Should you have commercials? No, you shouldn't have commercials. And we are just waiting to get set up. What's up, Programmer Asphalt? Also, wow, all sorts of people going in. Dude, Antares, thank you for coming in. My ear itched a little bit. I have to lean off the screen so you can't see what I'm doing. Anyways, guys, we are getting spooled up here. What I do at the beginning of every Kerbal Space Academy stream, I give everybody, there we go, that's what we were looking for, the KSP TV host. Ding! That's freaking awesome. I think they're going to put it on the forums and stuff like that, too. That is what we were waiting for. Thanks, KSP TV. Outstanding. SSTO Design and Piloting with KSP TV this evening. As you might know, DK had some other stuff going on. He was unable to do his normal KSP TV streams, which is 8 p.m. on Thursdays, I believe, if I got that right. And so, I'm going to go ahead and use Kerbal Space Academy to fill that KSP TV slot, which is totally awesome. I do thank KSP TV for giving me the opportunity to see if we can't help out a little bit here and fill the time slot that was open. So, we are good to go. We are live. Going to give it just another couple minutes here for more people to come in. Then I'm going to do the intro. I'm going to do the entire spiel that I do with Kerbal Space Academy. We're going to get into those space planes in just about a couple minutes. So, Poison Gold just got done streaming KSP. Nice, Poison Gold. That's awesome. I didn't see you in there. What's up, Sarian? Good sir. Thank you for joining us. We have a very special Kerbal Space Academy this evening. You don't actually plug the test streams. That's fine. At least I'm hosted. At least I'm hosted. So, I'm going to give a couple more minutes. Understood. Excellent. What I'm going to do is, every time I type that E, that station spins faster. It's like the E indicator. The E indicator. Every time I type an E, the station spins faster. I need to like stop typing things with E's. Nice. Everybody, thank you. After about 1 more minute, I'll give people about 1 more minute to come in. We'll start with the spiel. We'll start with the Kerbal Space Academy. We're doing SSTOs tonight. It should be good times. We should have much spacing in our future. Peeks out from the shadows. What's up, T-Game? Hagruma, what's going on? I did, but let me get that talked about yet later. I don't know what that means. Let's see what's going on. I am going to go ahead and go off the orbital Hilton, back to the Space Center. And here we go. Yes, T-Game, I got hosted by KSP TV tonight. DK couldn't make the normal stream. He had a really good opportunity, IRL. So we're getting hosted to plug the time slot for him. So that is what we are doing this evening on Kerbal Space Academy. Y'all, welcome. I'm Das Valdez. We can go ahead and get going now. What I'm doing is a little thing that I came up with called Kerbal Space Academy, right? I've played a lot of Kerbal Space Program. And I've played a lot of Kerbal Space Program on my own time, right? Before I ever started streaming, I've only been streaming for about a month. But I try to share Kerbal Space Program with all sorts of different people, right? I love the entire game. I mean, my daughter plays it. I've got my friends involved with it. So many different people just don't know how much you can enjoy a game that's basically like Legos in space that has a little bit of real science in it, which is really freaking cool. But I got on and I kind of watched a lot of streams and I was like, wow, so many people do such cool things, but it looks really hard. It's like, geez, that's something that I could never do. And so I started this Kerbal Space Academy idea to try and prove to people that KSP is something that they can pick up. It is based in rocket science, but it's also a really cool video game. So what we do in Kerbal Space Academy, we go over different topics in Kerbal Space Program. Tonight we're going to be doing SSTO design. We also do My First Rocket. If you've never gotten to orbit, we did a little bit earlier a Euro stream on rendezvous and docking, so I went over some techniques on rendezvous and docking. We've done interplanetary transfers, designing a moonlander, science farming on Minimus, kickstarting a career. We've done mod highlights on atmospheric trajectories and that sort of stuff. The entire concept of Kerbal Space Academy is that I'm here live. I've played a lot of KSP. I know a lot about it. I don't know everything about it. A lot of times my stream chat teaches me things, which I think is totally awesome. But I'm here live. I don't have a script. Basically, I pick a topic. Tonight it's SSTOs, space planes. And I sit here and I tell you what I'm doing as I design the craft. I tell you why I'm doing it. Sometimes I design the craft in the wrong way so I can show you what goes wrong when you do a certain thing. And then we bring the craft back to the VAB or the spaceplane hangar and we fix it. The entire point is to show to you, the loyal KSP viewers, that Kerbal Space Program, some of the stuff that looks really awesome and really complex, isn't that hard for you to do once you understand a couple basic topics. So, my stream has some special features, right? One of the special features is that I'm not just going to talk at you, I am actually going to have you ask me questions. If you see something that I'm doing and you want more of an explanation, maybe I go over it too fast, maybe you have another related question, well, why didn't you do it this way? If you have a question that's not even related to what I'm talking about, put it in chat. There are two ways you can get me to notice your question. One is to say the word DAS, D-A-S, a space after it, and a space before it. I'm not sure which direction that was. A space before and after it, DAS. You'll see in the chat scrolling by that will actually highlight it. Stream title. What did we do? Kerbal Space Academy SSTO design and piloting. I thought I got the stream title right. You may have to. There you go. You may have to do that. So, basically, you can put the word DAS in the chat. DAS. That'll highlight it in red. And that will make it so that whenever I get a chance, I'll glance at the chat and I will answer your questions. Ask me questions. The entire purpose of the stream is that I can answer them right here. I can use the game to demonstrate things for you. We were looking at a radial decoupler problem last night. We're like, does it exist? Does it not exist? Then the rocket exploded and it kind of looked like it existed. But ask me questions. The other thing you can do, you can put the word question. If you say, I have a question in chat, it'll highlight it in red. I might not be able to instantly answer it. I may be crashing a ship or designing something or focusing really hard on something. But what you can do is put the word DAS or the word question, highlight it, I'll answer your questions. That is the concept of Kerbal Space Academy. So, what we are going to do this evening is get started with some spaceplane design and piloting. If you didn't know, spaceplanes, build them in the spaceplane hangar. The symmetry is different. The way it actually applies symmetry to the craft, whether the parts are on both sides or three sides or four sides, is different in the spaceplane hangar versus the VAB. The VAB, primary axis symmetry is up and down. The spaceplane hangar, primary axis of symmetry is like the runway, back and forth, along the runway. So, if there's anything there, there we go. He does, well, that's new. DAS. There's, oh, nice, thanks. You don't have to do that sort of stuff, Spartan, but I do appreciate it. Anything else? Did I miss any questions while I was doing that? Stream title. Sitherly, I think I got it. You were just here from before. I did refresh the stream title. Watch proof. Twitch only. I do have a YouTube. Heinstein. I do have a YouTube. Spartan there just linked it towards you. You're welcome to go and check that out. All my videos that I do here, I actually also record and upload to YouTube so that if you can't catch the live session, you can go see it on YouTube. That is awesome right there. Alright, so space planes. We're just going to start with a really basic space plane. We're not going to worry about rendezvousing with the station right now. We're just going to design a very basic space plane. We all know that we need a couple different constituent parts to our craft. Core parts, craft won't fly without them. You need some sort of command module. For my space plane, I'm going to use this awesome looking nose cone. If you didn't know, 0.25, getting some really awesome new space plane parts. Space plane plus, I think? Whatever it was. We're getting some really awesome new space plane parts. I'm still in 0.24.2, so I am using the 0.24.2 space plane parts. Here we go with the Mark 1 cockpit. It is command for the craft. Kerbal will sit in it. It'll make the craft go. We also, for a space plane, need some sort of fuel. So let us begin with some fuel. I'm actually going to just start with this jet fuel tank. Y'all know there's a problem with that. People who have been in my stream before know what the problem is with that. But we are going to start with the plane part of space plane. Because if you try to start with the space part, your plane may never fly. So first we're going to make a plane that flies pretty well. We're going to come back here and we're going to add the space onto the front of space plane. So I've got some fuel there. I also need an engine. Let me just go ahead and grab one of these little boring basic jet engines. How wonderful. And why don't we add some more fuel to it? We'll make this guy a little bit bigger than the last one we made. Let us go over here. Let us do that. Very simple. So I've got an engine. I've got some fuel for it. I've got command. This thing right here should be able to get going. The other thing that we need for a plane is lift. So I will go ahead and work on putting some lift in here. Now we're just going to kind of toss the lift in here. I don't know, let's put the lift way back there. Like that. Yeah, that looks great. Shh. I'm going to put some wings on it. Look how cool that looks. Actually, ooh, let's use these. It'll look even cooler. Let's use that. Wow, doesn't that look awesome? Yes, that looks like a dart of some sort. And then we are going to put, where's my tail fin? There's my tail fin. Like the planes you see at the airport. We will put a tail on it. That guy looks basically like a little bit of a dart. Other things. Forces acting on a plane. Gravity is going to be pushing us down to the ground. Pulling us down to the ground, really. Lift from the wings will be picking us up off the ground. We've got our thrust from the engine. We're going to have drag from the atmosphere. The air going past the plane causes drag. You probably know that. What else do we need? We need some way to change our situation. We know that this pod is going to have a little bit of torque. You're not really supposed to design planes to fly using the pod torque. Let's put some control surfaces on here. And I'm just going to grab one of these little small control surfaces, put it on here, rotate this around like, you know, DOS, there are only 6 directions that can go, and it's always the last direction you try. So there we go. We've got some control surfaces. These guys right here, this is a Delta Dart design. Those control surfaces, not elevators, although they are at the back of the plane, not ailerons because they're not really at the front of the plane, or on the wings of the plane. Elevons, I think, is the technical term. Let's also put a rudder on there. Just like a regular old plane, right? We're just building a plane. Last thing we're going to need is some landing gear. Guys, if the chat is screaming at me as to the problems that this plane has, I know. We are just designing a plane. It's going to have some problems. Don't get me wrong. We are going to fix them. Because it's best to understand what the problems are and then see us fix them as opposed to me just make a perfect plane out of the gate. So that didn't look too bad, honestly. Let's go ahead and see if I can't move this up here. 1x symmetry. That doesn't look too bad. That's a plane. We've got the engine. We've got the command. We've got that. We've got that. This is a really simple plane. Let's take this plane out to the runway. Oopsie. Too perfect, DOS. Too perfect. Makes it less perfect. Let's take it out to the runway and see if we can make it. Oh, that looks totally cool to have it like that. Wow, that looks super stable, doesn't it? Let's take this guy out to the runway and see what we can do. I'm just going to have this space. What did we call it last time? Spaceless plane? Question mark? We don't know. Let's save it. Let's launch it. Let me have a drink while it goes. Scene change. And then I'm going to check the chat before we throttle it up on the runway. I wonder if I have to put like a piece of tape around that. That would be weird. Let me see. Did I miss anything? Space Academy. Yeah, you got it. There we go. YouTube discussion. Okay, it's totally gonna work, right? Twitter. Nope, we don't have that one. Turn around the front wheel. We could turn around the front wheel. Riddick, you are correct there, good sir. That could give it a little bit more stable of a platform. So this guy looks pretty good. Let us go ahead, throttle it up, turn the engines on. Well then, that plane didn't go anywhere. Why is that engine not running? I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on, seriously. So I throttled up the engine, I pressed space, the plane's not going anywhere. Why? If you right click on the engine, it's complaining intake air deprived. Dad blame it. Space planes and that engine. The entire cool thing about a space plane is that it uses oxygen from the atmosphere as the oxidizing agent. These tanks only have liquid fuel in them. They do not have oxidizer. If you've seen the other tanks, they have both oxidizer and liquid fuel. This one has liquid fuel. It wants intake air from the atmosphere. The problem is, what am I missing? I got no intakes. I got no way to suck oxygen out of the atmosphere. So, let's go fix that. Back to the spaceplane hangar. In order to get intake air, it's got rabbits in it. Yes, washproof. Thank you. What's up, K9 officer? How's it going? Intakes, really? Flame out? Did I really forget the intakes? Or did I do that on purpose? You'll never know. Intakes are over here on the aerodynamic tab. You click aerodynamic up here. We've got a couple to choose from. We've got this radial air intake that can be pasted anywhere around the radial body of the plane. We've got this axial intake, which is kind of a Kerbal chopping. What is it? A super chopper for Kerbals. You can see the Kerbal right in front of that thing. This would be needed to mount on an axial attachment node. I don't have any of those on this craft. And then this one, honestly, the best intake. That is a good intake, but again, it requires an axial attachment point. I can't put it on the side of the craft, so we will do that. What could we do? What could we do to use a couple different intakes? I could always slap two wacky-looking intakes back there. That looks kind of cool. We could also change out our pod, right? This pod doesn't have a node on the front, but if I wanted to, I could get rid of that pod and swap it out for this pod, the Mark II cockpit, which actually gives us, besides clipping into our unused parts, an axial attachment node there on the front of the craft. See how it is, axial attachment node? When I have that, I could come over here to my aerodynamic tab. I could grab a huge cowcatcher sort of scoop, and I could put it on the front of the craft to make it look absolutely ridiculous. It's okay, though. That's okay. Let's go ahead and put this back on here. That should look good. That plane absolutely looks ridiculous. Let's fly it anyways. Hopefully it crashes because it looks so terrible. Let's go out, take it to the runway, cover it with ladders, attach Kerbals to them. What? DOS did it purposely. I covered up that mistake very well. Gav, I don't know. Did I forget it or did I not forget? You never know. Alright, so there we go. We are going to see if this works. That looks ridiculous. It looks hideous. Let's throttle up. Let's go ahead and light the engine. That sounds good. I got engine noises. I got stuff coming out the back of the craft. Let's see if this thing is going to fly whatsoever. I mean, it looks like a plane. Is it? Oh, that's not good. Oh my gosh, I almost saved it. Ew, that was a problem. What happened? I thought you were supposed to be running Kerbal Space Academy, DOS. Let's actually look at what was happening to that plane, because there are some things that we need to fix. Some things that maybe we did on purpose, so that we could demonstrate how bad it was going to be. The Keithane approaches the upper left corner. I should have some good altitude. We probably could have taken it off the ground. But watch what happens to this plane as it takes off. I'm going to look at it from the side. I want you to watch what happens. And a couple things start to go wacky whenever she starts to fly. There goes the engine. Look at those super stable. Man, that looks like it's so solid with those things tilted to the rear. Uh-oh. The rear seems to be picking up. Wait a second. The rear wheels don't even look like they're touching. Ouch. That's a problem. That is definitely a problem. Let's see if this is going to work. Let's see if this is going to work. I'm going to keep flying this plane. Did you see what happened? The rear wheels actually took off before the front wheels took off. And when that happened, only the front wheel was on the ground. There's a term for that. If you know it, type it into chat. Because there is a term for that lift picking up the rear two wheels first and putting it only on one wheel in front. You may even be able to guess the term, even if you don't know it. Let's go to revert to launch. Let's see if I can take this plane off. I don't want a plane that takes off like this, but if you know the term for that, toss it into chat over there. Let us see here. Here we go. Wait, if who's quiet? Thader. Shh. What's going on? Foobar, foobar, foobar. That's the name for it. Yes. It is a total screw-up. Let's light it again and let's see if I can actually get this thing off the ground. What am I doing now? I'm trying to correct. Oh, that looks better. There we go. Alright, well, we got it off the ground. What did we do? You could see that I gave it full up stick. I pressed E, or I pressed S on the keyboard. And that was... This is not a very good plane at all. Dang it. There. Alright. Now that we've got going fast enough, we're doing a little bit better. I was giving it full up stick. What did that do? That went ahead and put our elevons, I guess, to full up. It also gave our engine gimbal some upward authority. That pushed our tail onto the ground to keep those back wheels onto the ground, and it tried to lift up the front of the plane instead. But look at the way that this plane is flying, right? I'm trying to keep it flying straight. Don't tell me this plane is going to fly perfectly. No. Alright. Look at the nav ball. Do you see how it's nosing down? I'm not touching it. Hands off. Wait, don't crash yet. I still need to make an example of you. Turn back up. Okay, there we go. Alright. Okay. So, hands off the stick. You can see I'm not pressing any keys. As I'm not pressing any keys, why does the plane keep nosing down? That's a problem. Das, you can solve it, dude. Just do a sweet elevator roll there. Flip upside down, and then the plane will... Nope, that's not going to work at all. That's actually not going to work. I think we've just completely boned this. That's a problem. Let us go fix these things. Let us... Let us go back over to the spaceplane hangar and fix some of these problems. So 2 problems. Number 1, the rear end of the plane was picking up first. We were going all crazy on the runway. Did anybody ever actually type the right thing in there? Let's see here. Did we actually screw up foobar? Did it purposely on accident? Shh. Keythane. We'll fix the keythane later when it gets worse. Das did it on purpose. Hey, Dasaruno. Whoa, what's up? He's dead. Foobar, screw up, foobar. A lot of really... There we go. Wheelie, that was close. Anders and Dugotez, that was definitely close. Rear lift. Y'all all got it right. You may see that whenever your rear end comes up first and you're going just on one wheel in the front, you may see in the forums that called the wheelbarrow maneuver. It's death to planes in KSP. If you have a plane that's trying to balance on one wheel, the way that the physics goes, balancing on one wheel is very terrible. It's a stoppy, says Caboose. Nice, Caboose. Balancing on one wheel, the wheelbarrow effect is terrible. It will make your craft start to go out of control while you're going down the runway. This is why I can't read chat sometimes. Wheelbarrow. There you go, Thadar. Thank you. You may have seen it referred to as a wheelbarrow effect. Here's what was happening. Dude, who did I just get? FedEx and Boomerang 13. Thanks for enrolling in Kerbal Space Academy. Tonight we're talking about SSTOs, single stage to orbit planes. We're going into detail on problems that you can encounter and how to fix them. So, one of our problems was the fact that we were going down the runway and we were bringing up our tail first. Let's have a look. We know that all craft basically have a center of mass. In KSP you can see the center of mass by clicking on the center of mass icon down here in the corner. That gives you a nice little yellow ball. Ding! Where the center of mass is. That's basically, if you've ever done it with an actual model rocket or a plane or something like that that you're flying in real life, the trick is you take a string and you try to hang the rocket from the string and you see where the rocket... I have a rocket. Oh no, where's my science rocket? It's in the other room. I won't go get it. You try to hang the rocket, my trusty dusty pen, you try to hang the rocket by a string, and where you're able to hang the rocket, that is going to be the center of mass. You could balance it like that, and that would be the center of mass or center of gravity for the pin. I can't get it to balance. Let's use the game. Joseph Mayer, thank you for the follow, good sir. This is Kerbal Space Academy, SSTOs. So there's the center of mass. We also have another thing on the plane. Remember we put the wings on. We wanted to counteract gravity. We need something to push up while gravity's pushing us down. Let's fire up the wings by looking at the center of lift. What are we seeing with that center of lift by clicking on the little center of lift wing icon down here? What's happening is those wings are trying to lift us up. Where are they trying to lift us up, though? Way back here. Where is our center of mass? Way up there. If I had a rocket, I totally should have had a rocket right here. I don't have a rocket. If I had a rocket and I was applying force from lift back here, but the center of mass was here, what would happen? The stupid thing would fall forward. I'm not going to do that over and over again because we have a game to play with. But basically, we are picking it up back here. We're applying a force back here, but we're not applying a force to the center of mass. The center of mass is up there, and that is why this plane both takes the real rails off first and Chronarch. Thank you for the follow. Thanks for enrolling in Kerbal Space Academy. That is why this plane is picking its rear wheels up first because the center of lift is applying a lot of force to the back here and not against the center of mass. How can we fix that? We can totally fix that. So, what we can do is grab our wings and play with them. And you can see if you have the center of lift activated down there, as you move the wings around the craft, you can actually see how that's going to affect the center of wings. Lou 2 binary. Thanks for joining Kerbal Space Academy. I'm going to move the wings around, and what I want to do is put the center of mass just behind the center of mass. Actually, put the center of lift just behind the center of mass, like that. What would happen if I put the center of mass way up here? You may be able to guess. Actually, why don't we try to fly that? A, it's going to rip the engine off on the ground. Let's try it, though. I just want to try it. I've never actually done this before. Let's see. Let's totally do this. Yeah, you like apples? How you like them apples? That looks terrible. That looks absolutely terrible. What if I do it like this? Who thinks that's going to take off? Let's launch it. Again, guys, I know we're going over a lot of very basic topics. We're having some fun by making planes that are going to intentionally crash, but we're also demonstrating what you can look at in the game, how you can see how it affects your own craft, because that's why we're blowing up stuff. Maybe your craft is nosing over like that. Maybe it's because of the center of weight versus center of mass. This looks like it's going to scrape up dirt or something. But let's see how it flies. I know we're doing some basic stuff. We are trying to learn all the things that are at work on this space plane before we try to go and build a huge space plane. I find that one problem is that a lot of people would try to like build a space, like, check me out, my space plane has 4 mainsails, I'm going to space! And then they can't ever get it to space. So by understanding the basic concepts with a really simple craft, Cyclone! Thank you for enrolling in Kerbal Space Academy. By understanding the basic concepts with a really simple craft, we can then go apply those basic concepts to a much bigger craft and make that bigger craft a lot more likely to go to space today. So let's get the, you know, the cow scoop here. If this was a train, it could definitely, this is for more oxygen. As you know, the closer to sea level you are, the denser the atmosphere is. We've actually put the intake pointing down towards the ground so we can scoop up the densest atmosphere possible, right? Somebody toss a kappa in chat. 3, 2, 1, engine engage. Let's see how this guy goes. Let's watch what happens here from the side. Wow, that looks hideous. Maybe you've had problems with your planes doing that. Let me see if I can give it some stick and see if that is going to fix anything. Revert to launch. I'm going to do full up stick. S key on the keyboard. Pulling back if you have a joystick, if you're lucky enough to have a joystick. Nothing good will come of this. It will take off. Pilot G2 pin hype? Yes, that is definitely a Pilot G2 pin. Thank you. This is not going to work at all. Let's see if we can go down the runway. Look at this wonderful craft. Man, it's so stable. It's got that football player 3-point stance. It's veering. Stop veering. No, 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 no. That craft is not going to space, y'all. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's fix some more problems. Space. Revert flight. Where is it? It is the spaceplane hangar. So, we looked at this. The center of lift way behind the center of mass, no bueno. It picks up the tail of the plane and makes the plane constantly want to nose down. The center of lift, I don't know why that happens, by the way. Squad, what's going on? Why does that scene... The center of lift way towards the front of the plane. Let's bring our icons back up here. The center of lift like that, also no bueno. It's trying... I mean, we're basically just totally getting hosed by that. These things here, also not a great idea. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's go ahead and put this wing back on. That's a problem. What happened? I don't know why it does that, but when I picked up the wing, it went to 1x symmetry. Does that look like a great center of lift? No. While I have seen a video of an F-15 flying home with one wing, this is not that F-15. This is a Kerbal space plane, and it actually is going to need 2 wings. What I want to do is try to put my center of lift right around my center of mass, just like that. And when we fly this plane, let's give this one a try. It still has problems, so let's give it a try. Because I get a lot of questions from people saying, Das, dude, my spaceplane veers when it goes down the runway. You saw that one just trying to veer now. Now that we fixed the center of lift problem, let's see if this plane will go straight down the runway. I don't know. Let's find out. Slightly bugs me that I'm not using caps controls. Caps controls? I fly it live, man. I need gross movements. Let's go ahead, throttle up. Let's go ahead and light the engine. Let's see how this goes. Let's see if it's going to take off. It's starting to veer. Why is it starting to veer? No, no, no. I just made you, spaceplane. Don't veer. It actually lived a lot longer than I thought. Why was it starting to veer? Let's do it one more time. Let's crash that guy one more time. Revert to launch. It only takes a few seconds to revert to launch and crash it again. Honestly. What's up, Lunchbox? Let's see here. You will need to wear the safety glasses. I'm going to need to get my safety glasses. So watch what's going on here, right? You may be new to space planes. Doesn't that look awesome? How those front wheels are tilted out. Man, that looks so stable. It's like nice and stable, dude. Let us go down the runway and see if those tilted wheels are going to help us or not. I'm going straight. Why does this not work? Why do I start to veer? I don't want to veer. I will tell you right now, that craft is veering because the front landing gear are at angles like that. The way KSP, the way the Unity engine really does the physics, having the engine, having the landing gear at an angle like that completely borks the way that it tries to do the contact, I guess, with the surface polygons. So having landing gear at angles like that is a #1 problem with space planes veering down the runway. That and the wheelbarrow effect, the first thing we showed. Let's go back to the hangar. Let's fix that. So, it's torquing over to one side. You know, Riderick, I honestly wonder if... Does KSP model that? I don't know if it models the torque of the jet engines. That is an excellent question. Can anybody answer that? Let's go ahead and put one landing gear in the front. Another landing gear back here in the back. I can't do them like this, see? If I put them on here in 2x symmetry like that, that's not good. I can try to do this. You see how I've got those and they look like they're straight? One thing that I try to do, I try to look at the windows in the back of the spaceplane hangar there, and I actually try to line up the windows with the edge of my landing gear, and that can help me see if they're straight. That actually looks really straight, right? But I think we're going to have a little bit better luck. That doesn't have a very wide wheelbase, right? It's very likely to tilt over on its side. I think we're going to have a little bit better luck if we put them out here. But look what happens. I just told you, you can't put them like that, right? You do not want... That's some serious camber issues, obviously. The reason they're going on the wings like that is because I have angle snap on. This thing right down here. What I need to do is turn angle snap off by either clicking that or pressing C on the keyboard. Grab those wheels, press spacebar. Spacebar, by the way, resets the symmetry. If you've done some wacky rotations, you know how you rotate things around. If you press spacebar, it will treat it like you just pulled that out of the side over there. Press spacebar, and I know that when I press spacebar, since my wheels are flat and since my wings are flat, those things right there should be flat to the back of the VAB. I don't have one exactly lined up, but that is basically what we're looking for. That is a flat wheel, and we have a little bit better wheelbase. It's also going to do one more thing for us. Let's launch this plane. Remember, we fixed the wheels now. We're not wheelbarrowing. We don't have camber issues with our landing gear being pointed like this. We fixed the center of lift versus the center of mass. Let's take this plane out to the runway and see how it flies. What else did I miss? 8 to 10 p.m. Yep, there we go. Yes, Poison, I do have on YouTube a video on landers. I definitely have that. Washproof, getting a little bit ahead of us there, but you are correct, sir. You are definitely correct. Let's see. Hey, guys, one other thing. Oh, my gosh. I don't know. I may want to do this right quick. Is it still there? I don't know. Huh. Yeah, I always look at those windows in the back. Can anybody confirm if Squad is still doing the 0.25 name survey? If somebody could confirm that that survey is still active. Look at this plane. Do you see how she all... Whoa, that was a good bounce. She's still going over a little bit. I bet you I know why she's going over a little bit. So even though we have the center of lift, could we fix it with this? Yes, we're so cheaty. We're so cheaty. By turning on SAS, we can actually keep it from doing that. What's happening now? Das, dude, you told me that if you put the wings right at the center of mass, you wouldn't have this problem. Why are we still nosing over a little bit? See how we're slowly but surely nosing over? What's happening? I think I know what's happening. Let's go find out what's happening. What's up, evil genius? Up! Fly up again. We could totally fix this if we turn on SAS, then our plane would fly pretty much straight. That's not a problem. Do some sweet barrel. Let's do some sweet aileron rolls. Elevon rolls, actually, with a dart design. There we go. So, let's go back to the spaceplane hangar. Let's see if we can't fix that. And if you can type in the chat what I need to do to fix that, let me know. I'm going to look at one other thing, and this is actually a mod. What wings are those? Levelicious. Levelicious, those are the Structural wing segments. Down here, the structural wings. They're not the dart wings, not the delta wings. They're the structural wings. Down here at the bottom. Let's have a look. I've got a mod called RCS Build Aid. RCS Build Aid is really cool because what it does, it'll actually let you look at the thrust of your engine versus the mass of the craft. So this is telling me that I've got a little bit more mass up here from these things. I have a little bit less mass down here, and I'm torquing the plane around actually in the opposite direction. That is interesting that it's torquing around. Can you change the degrees of when you're holding shift? Oh, did I miss a question over there? Let me have an idea here. Did I miss anything? Center of list is slightly back from the center of mass. Lower the throttle a little. Wings in front and back of mass to center. That'll work too, Rich X. So I've got a lot of different ideas here. Let's go ahead and try this one first. I put that center of lift very close to the center of mass. Let's see here if I put the center of lift directly in the middle of the center of mass. Let's see what this does. Right like that. See how those balls are basically clipping together? RCS Build Aid is telling me that the thrust from this engine, because I have extra mass on the bottom, I think those landing gear are pretty massive, aren't they? Or our landing gear physics significance 0. Let's find out. It says that they're a half ton each. Wow, that's huge. But I think they may be physics significance 0. I'm not sure. Let's take it off and see if that changes it. Nope, they're physics significance 0. Or false, or whatever the variable is. Is it these, maybe? Aha, is that it? Putting those down towards the bottom, interesting. Putting them down towards the bottom changes our center of mass significantly. That there, something is making us turn over, and I bet you it's that wing right there. I bet you it's the tail fin. Show for me, thanks, hacks. Det hacks. Yes, I'm Dexley Hacks. They're physicalists, thank you. Yes, we confirmed it by looking at RCS Build Aid, and because RCS Build Aid did not change, then that meant that that part was physicless. This part is not physicless, and you can see as we move it around the craft, it actually changes the center of mass. See the yellow ball moving a little bit? That's actually going to change this around. Let's just toss them off and go fly the plane like this. So now the center of lift is directly on the center of mass. Let's launch it. 836. All right, we're right on track. We're right on track. Let me see if I missed any questions in the chat. This still works in Squatus. There you go. Let me open that. Ah, it looks like they still have it going. Guys, one thing that Gav just posted over there. Wow, that doesn't look good. One thing that Gav just posted. Squad put on the launcher, basically the announcements the other day, a naming survey for 0.25. If you wanted to fill that out, Gav just put a link there. That's survey.mk. Link up there. If you want to click on that, you can actually fill out that survey, and I think you're voting on what the name for the 0.25 release will be. Let's see how this goes with the center of lift directly on the center of mass. So let's see how it takes off. That looks good. Look at that. The wheels took off at exactly the right time. There was a good little runway bounce. We're still tilting over to the front a little bit. So just because we've got a little bit of thrust imbalance, let's go ahead and do that. Go ahead and put those gear back up. They're physics significance 0, so that doesn't matter. Just because we've got a little bit of thrust imbalance, we're flying, we're still kind of nosing over just a little bit, just because the plane thrust isn't exactly straight. We're not going to have to worry about that, though, as we're flying our SSTO. There's some things you could do. We could try to trim it. I won't go too far into that right now, but the plane looks like it's flying okay. What's going to happen, though, as we burn that fuel out? As we burn the fuel, the center of mass is actually going to change. Let's go back to the spaceplane hangar and show what happens as the tank's empty. Yes, brain. I am definitely demonstrating failures and problems. That's what we're going over right now. Let's turn Kerbal Engineer off, or that was RCS Build Aid. Let's do this. That may be drag of the wheels. If they're physics significance 0, they're not going to have drag either, so that can't be it. We continue to nose over those. So let us demonstrate what happens as we burn the fuel. Right now we've got those things right on each other, which seems like a good idea, right? The lift is directly picking the mass up. Let's have a look and see what happens as we burn this fuel. So imagine the engine was on and that tank started to lose its fuel. What's the problem? The center of mass moved back. Let's say that this tank starts to get drained. That's interesting. The center of mass moves back forward. So, because our center of mass is changing as we burn the fuel, we may get a little bit different flight characteristics as we try to go to orbit. When this tank empties but this one still has fuel, that means that the center of mass is going to be further back. However, when we empty this tank, the center of mass is going to go back to where it is. You can figure out that that's going to happen because the center of mass is right between the two fuel tanks, right? The line of the center of mass, let's move that. The line of the center of mass is right there between the two fuel tanks. Kerbal Space Program looks at the engine and says, hey, I need fuel. Well, I've got fuel, but so does my buddy. I've got fuel. It's going to eat out of this tank first. When that tank's empty, it's then going to go to this tank, then it's going to be empty. So, something to keep in mind, the things are going to move around just a little bit. There's the direction of lift there, the large arrow. Yes, thank you. Excellent. So, we've talked about that. We've talked about that. Risky business was the only one that sounded cool. It should be risky business. Nice. Did everybody chant? Did everybody do risky business? It sounds like risky business, risky business. That's what I voted for. Risky business. Shh. You can vote for whatever you want. But anyways, we've got a lot of things going on here. The problem is, this plane, while it'll fly right now, has a couple different problems. Let's go. We know that it's not going to go to orbit, right? Let me go ahead and launch it. Fly it all the way up. Risky business, risky business, risky business. Nice. Nice. That's awesome. All right. I wonder if that's what it is. Yes, unless you got Caboose, thank you. If you have a mod called TAC Fuel Balancer, you can actually have it pull out of both those tanks equally. In stock KSP, it will not. Let's see how far I can fly this plane. I'm going to turn SAS on just in the interest of getting on with our program. I took all the fuel out of the engines, then I launched it. I emptied them out, and then I totally launched the plane. How hilarious is that? Back to Spaceplane Hangar. Let's put fuel in. Like I said, I do this live. I don't have like a script here that says, Step 1, demonstrate this. Step 2, demonstrate this. If you have any questions about what I'm doing, if you want me to try something else, feel free to post it into chat. Also, that is chat's fault. Did anybody in chat say that I didn't have fuel? Nope, totally chat's fault. Totally chat's fault for not having my back there. You're supposed to catch things like that. There's how many people watching this stream and nobody noticed that I didn't have fuel? Let's see here. Here we are back on the runway. Let's see how high we can fly this plane. Survey says, there we go, throttle up. Let's just cheat a little bit. And let's see how far this plane will fly. 15K, still getting some air level. It's just nice. Look how well it took off. It took off straight up. SAS is correcting all of the imbalances. If you hear people say that using SAS is a little bit cheaty, it is a little bit cheaty. But if you're new to spaceplanes, turn on SAS right here. It will correct some of the more minor problems with the plane if the plane's going to be going over. Real hardcore people who are playing total hardcore mode may turn SAS off and only fly by trimming the rudders or aileron, actually the elevons or whatever on that one. But if you're new to space planes, turn on SAS. It's just fine. There's no problem with that. Just get this thing to orbit. For a space plane we want to go to space, this plane I've already said is not going to be going to space today, right? Because we're missing something very important. We've talked about the air intakes. Remember I put the plane on the runway, I was like, engine time! And then it was like, and the engines didn't go anywhere because there was no intake air to oxidize the fuel. This plane has intake air. It's got fuel. It can make a combustion. It can make an explosion basically in the back and toss it out the end of the plane. So it will have the recipe for flight in atmosphere that contains oxygen. Kerbal, lathe. That's it right now. However, as we get higher and higher, what happens to the atmosphere? The atmospheric gauge right here tells me that the atmosphere gets thinner and thinner as we go higher and higher. That makes our rocket engines, when we have an oxidizer in the tank, that makes our rocket engines more efficient. But it makes an actual jet like this less efficient. In fact, this specific engine loses thrust the higher we go, the thinner the atmosphere is. And as you can see, the thrust there is just going down and down and down. We're still getting up. I mean, we're going high. It's only going to get worse, though. Even if the engine didn't do that, at some point, the atmospheric meter is going to go off into the black. There's not going to be any more atmosphere. Look up here. I don't see a lot of atmosphere up there. Even if I got pretty clouds down there, I don't have any atmosphere up there. And that means that at some point, this intake is no longer... Look at the airflow. The airflow is going down and down and down and down. That's a problem. Let me go ahead and level off here. As that airflow goes down and down because the atmosphere is thinner and thinner, this engine's getting less and less intake air to oxidize things with. And while I am still apparently getting some speed out of it, at some point I will run out of air. Let's see here. Let's go higher so we run out of air faster. I was doing a spaceplane profile and I don't really need to do that. As we get higher and higher, at some point this engine is actually going to run out of air and it's going to not be able to provide any thrust. Look, it's way down already. 0.1 air. That engine's going to flame out pretty soon. So on a space plane, we also need, this is just the plane, we need on a space plane to add a second component, the space. And in order to add the space to this little plane, we need to add some rocket fuel to it. Remember the difference. The liquid fuel that the jet engine, gosh, flame out already. Seriously? That intake is OP. Flame out! I'm trying to demonstrate something, you stupid plane. As we... There we go. Thank you. That's right. You better listen to me. We've run out of intake air. We have no more intake air. In order to go any further into space, let's see. Oops, atmospheric trajectories mod. Let me turn that off and I'll talk about it later. As you can see, we got an ApoApp of 29,920. That's not space. We're not going to get any higher than that because that engine ran out of juice. So what happened was once we ran out of atmosphere, we had no more intake air. That engine can't work. That means we've got to carry some sort of oxidizing agent on our plane whenever we try to fly it. Blue 32312. Difference between high and low altitude jets. Sure, I will talk about that. Guys, thank you, Blue, for pointing that out. The jet engine that I chose for this plane, this little jet engine right here, is called the basic jet engine right here. The basic jet engine, look at this. Look at the ISP here. The higher you go, the less atmosphere you have, the less dense the atmosphere is, the less efficient this engine comes, and the less thrust it can make. You don't see that on here, but the less amount of thrust that this engine can make. That is this basic jet engine. There's an engine that works the opposite way. That engine is the turbojet engine. Where are you at now? Second page. This turbojet engine. As you can see on the turbojet engine, it is a lot less efficient down low in thick atmosphere at sea level, right, ASL, but it is more efficient up in vacuum. If you look at the thrust curve for this one actually produces more and more thrust the higher you go. So if you have an airplane that is not trying to get into space, it's just trying to fly low, and you want it to be a very long-range craft, it's a good idea to use this basic jet engine, which is very efficient, 2,000 ISP at sea level. If you're trying for a space plane, you should really go for this turbojet engine, which has 1,200 efficiency, and you can't see it on here, but a lot higher thrust at the higher altitudes, the lower, or the higher speeds, I think, the lower atmospheric densities. So let's go ahead and swap this out. Let's take off this jet engine. Let's put this on here. I also said I was going to need some rocket fuel, right? So I did this for a reason. Let's go ahead and I want the rocket fuel to be up at the beginning. Honestly, this isn't a good idea, but we'll do it wrong. We'll totally do it wrong. Let's take those off. Let's take that off. I'm going to get the tank that's about the same size. This guy right here. That's jet fuel, or that's rocket fuel, right? If you look at it, you can see it has two resources, liquid fuel and oxidizer, in lieu of intake air. And then over here, where is the... There we go. The Mark 1 fuselage, the thing that I have back here, that only carries liquid fuel, no oxidizer. It relies on the intake air. Let's do this. Put that guy like that. Let's put our wings back on. Again, I want to turn on my center of mass, my center of lift. That doesn't look good. Let's go ahead and put them on there. I'm just going to put it just behind it like that. Right? That should be fine. And I think we're good to go there. This tank actually weighs a little bit less, but that clearance on the rear, by the way, that turbojet may get scraped off. Dude, Ghost Wolf 12 volt. Or Ghost Wolf version 12. Thanks for enrolling in Kerbal Space Academy. We're doing the very basic concepts that govern space planes, and then we're going to build a big space plane in the second hour. 2-hour string. You can use it with the landing gear to make them level with the front ones. Let me scrape this engine off first, Luis. Show what happens when we do it wrong. So I've got this set up. I've got the more efficient engine. I've got some rocket fuel. What else do we need? We also need some sort of engine that actually burns oxidizer. You know and love the Rockomax 487S. I'm going to put little mount points here using these cubic octo struts. I put them into the wings like that. I'm going to go ahead and grab, just because I like the way things look, I'm going to grab this little fuel tank. Where's it at? There we go. The Oscar B fuel tank, and put it like that. No. Nope. Won't let me do it. Alright, let's put it like that then. It won't let me cheat today. And then I am going to grab the little overpowered Rockomax 487S. If you've seen my stream with the soda can going to orbit, I actually took a soda can on a Mooner flyby using only one fuel tank in that engine. It's such an OP engine. Really good thrust, pretty good efficiency for almost no weight, 0.1 tons. So we're going to toss those on there. The last thing I need some way for the fuel to actually get from there to there. So I am going to grab some fuel lines, and I am going to take fuel lines from the center of the craft out to the little engine just like that. That looks pretty good. Now, did it matter? Remember, you're like, DOS, dude, you said that the tank in front, scroll up, you said that the tank in front has oxidizer, even though the tank in back doesn't have oxidizer, but your fuel line only goes from there to there. It doesn't matter, honestly, because what it'll do, somehow, through the magics of KSP fuel line routing, it will pull fuel through this that doesn't have any oxidizer. It'll pull the oxidizer out of this tank, somehow magically through this tank, into the fuel line and flow it over there. Also, that fuel line, split in half. It apparently flows both oxidizer and liquid fuel at the same time. No worries, though. Let's make sure that our center of mass versus center of lift are still good. We'd want it to be a little bit further back. That right there probably looks good. And let's see if we can't get this craft right here into space. So we will need to launch. Maybe I'll drag the engine off, Luis. I don't know. Maybe we can fix it. We can show how to fix it. Clip a Rockomax or an Aerospike insect. I honestly, I don't do a lot of, nice, Spartan. Ah, yes. I've now put the rocket engine on. There you go, Zogs. I was putting, everybody that was asking in chat, I was actually putting the oxidizer on there. Ooh, we got clearance. Hopefully we don't take off too fast. I was putting the oxidizer on there because I was going to add these little these little rocket engines to the back. Let's see if this thing has enough delta V to get to space. I don't know. I've never built this craft before. Apparently it's also carrying unneeded monopropellant. You there, I'm going to turn you off. Let's see here. You've never seen the red tank. Never seen the red tank. Which red tank are you talking about, Chronarch? Throttle up. SAS is already on. A little bit cheaty. That's okay. Let's take off. Whoa! What did we do? We forgot something which we will fix later. I'm going to shut down these engines, and I'll show you how to fix that. What happened when I did that? Because I pressed spacebar, it actually engaged both the Rockomax rocket engines and the jet engine. That's not really what we wanted. There we go. We're taking off. That's okay. That's looking good, actually. Gear up. It's got that weird looking scoop on the front. That's fine. Now let's go ahead and just angle her up. And what we want to do with the space plane, let me finish what I was saying before. I was talking about when I pressed spacebar, it fired both the Rockomax rocket engines. Crispy Electrolyte, thanks for joining Kerbal Space Academy. When I pressed spacebar, it fired both the Rockomax engines and the turbojet engine, right? In doing that, I was wasting oxidizer. There's no reason for these engines to be firing right now. They have to use oxidizer. I'm surrounded by oxidizer. I'm surrounded by atmospheric oxygen. Oxygen in the atmosphere that will allow me to take this plane to space. So don't waste this oxidizer. I actually wasted 18 oxidizer in that little amount of time. Don't waste that oxidizer when you do that. Go ahead and just use the engines. Wackelfasse? I don't even know how to pronounce that. Thank you for enrolling in Kerbal Space Academy. I'm doing Intro to Space Planes Design and Piloting. And we are getting a little tiny plane into space here. Let's see here. DP for the red tank. Stage your rockets. Yep, Levelicious, you got it. Yep, there you go. Manage the engines. I'm going to talk about that from a mod. Ah, the Dr. Pepper tank. Yes, that is what was going on. So I'm not sure. I hope you guys caught that in advance. We will go back to the VAB and we can totally put those in action gears. Action stages. In fact, this isn't going to be easy. This isn't going to be easy whatsoever because I'll show you what the problem is. We are going to get way up here into the atmosphere. Let's actually go a little bit higher. Wow, them follow alerts going off. I definitely appreciate that. Who was that? There was that. We got that Crispy Electrolyte. We got Wackelflasse. However you say that. Ghost Wolf Cyclone. They got everybody. Blue 312. There was a follow from Blue 312. Thank you, sir. You're already your third favorite KSPer. Dude, thank you, Wackelflasse. I don't actually know how to say that. But here we go. We're going way up to the atmosphere. We're getting up there where the air is really thin. Then I'm going to start leveling off and see if I can't. This is a very bad spaceplane profile, by the way. You hear the engine start to spool down? You see that it didn't start to lose thrust, right? But it's telling me wow, it's getting really good at specific impulse up here. The thrust is starting to go down. There's Evil Genius with the follow. Thank you, Evil Genius. Let's see here. We're getting lots of speed. That engine hasn't spooled down yet. Even though the intake air says 0, that's something that's recently changed, I think. It's still putting out thrust. It's still got enough fuel throw, and it's still got enough thrust that it's not going to flame out quite yet. I think when it gets down to like 60, that's when it's going to flame out. But we just keep flying up, 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 up. Notice that I took it out of 45 degrees. I'll talk through that one on another launch. There it flamed out. When it flames out, this engine is worthless to me. Shut down engine. I actually need to cut my throttle, manually turn both these engines on, like that, and go ahead and throttle back up and see if I can't get this puppy into space. I want to get out of this atmosphere as fast as I can, so I'm going to go ahead and angle up. Again, this is not the most efficient launch profile. This is just a really simple launch profile. We could have just pointed 45 degrees the entire freaking time and not worried about it. So let's go see what's happening to my orbit. Trajectories, thank you. As I burn this up at a 45 degree angle, you can see that it's increasing my apoaps, but it's not doing it very fast. Let's see if going down will increase it faster, because we are getting up out of the atmosphere pretty quickly here. Let's see. Am I going to be able to get to space? These engines are so efficient. I didn't put an engineer module on here, but I have a feeling it's going to be able to get to space. Let's actually see what chat is saying. What's up, Snuggly? How's it going? Throttle back to get more of the engine. Ah! Thader, that's an excellent point. We could have actually throttled that turbojet engine back to get a little bit more out of it. That is a good point. We'll do another launch after this. 74, 75, that's in space apoaps. And we all know that I could come over here. I could add a maneuver. Precise node go away. Trajectories also go away. We'll be talking about those another time. I can add some delta V to this in the prograde direction. Wait till it flips, and there I have 79 by 75. 456 meters per second. Something tells me that that's going to go to space. So even though this plane wasn't perfect, I didn't have action group set, I didn't do a very perfect launch profile, we were still able to get our first SSTO, right? Let us fast forward up to the node. Atmosphere still, apparently. What I want to do when I do my circularization burn, this goes for not just SSTO space planes, but also all sorts of ships. What you want to do is split this burn in half. It's a 35-second burn. I rounded up to 36 seconds. That just makes the math easier. Half of 30, 15, half of 6, 3, 15 plus 3, 18. When this number right here says 18, T minus 18, that is when I need to do the burn. Or T minus 17, you know, whatever. It's not rocket science. I'll actually light these engines up, and that is going to allow me to use not the jet engine, not intake air, there's no air in space, right? Burning the oxidizer and the liquid fuel out of this tank, and let us see if we are going to be able to get this done. We're using the oxidizer, 14-second burn, 2 oxidizer per second, that's 28. Yeah, we're good. Just doing some really fast math there to see if this is going to make an orbit. That liquid fuel in this tank ran out. Guess what? We've got a lot more liquid fuel in this tank. There we go, right there. And that right there, folks, is an orbital spaceplane. Sorry the orbits are so dirty. I'm doing this in my space station mod because we're going to be building a much bigger craft and rendezvousing with the space station later. So there we've got 75 Perry, 79 Apo, good enough for government work. That right there, little spaceplane, totally simple. Started off with some problems, veered on the runway, lift wasn't good, all sorts of stuff. Made it to space. It looks ridiculous, mind you. With this thing up here, I mean, it looks like it's going to scoop up. It's an atmospheric sampler or something. But we've got, let's have Kenvin here do a victory aileron roll, which has nothing to do with ailerons. We're using the SAS torque in the pod. It has nothing to do with ailerons, but whatever. They act, look, they'll actually flip-flop like they're doing something, but they're not doing anything in space. Let's go do one more thing. We've got a couple minutes to take this guy to space one more time, and I'm going to do the super simplest trajectory that you could do with yourself. I'm not even going to change anything. Let's go to revert flight. Back to the spaceplane hangar. Let me show you how to fix the thing with the engines. If it does lose all its fuel, you could get out and push. You're exactly right. No claw, so it's nice. Let's see here. To command group. Yes, a bunch of people caught it. A lot of people caught what I could have done there. Instead of right-clicking and manually activating, deactivating these engines, here's what you almost always do with spaceplanes. Go ahead and go to the hangar, click on action groups, the little hammer and tool up here, the hammer and wrench, double-ended box end wrench. Click on that, and you can actually create action groups. What I usually do, this is just my own personal preference. You may have a different preference. I go to action group 1. I click on my engine, and I say activate that engine. This is going to be my atmospheric flight action group. That engine on, and these two engines, click on those, shut down. That basically means when I press 1 on the keyboard, it's going to activate that engine and shut down both the Rockomac engines. It works really well because the Rockomacs were put on with symmetry. I can just click on one and putting an action group for that one. See how when I highlight it, both of them are highlighted down on the screen? Because I put them on with symmetry, it works that way. If you didn't put them on with symmetry, you put them on one at a time on either wing, not only will your craft be a little bit off balance, but it'll also not do that with the action groups. You'll have to click each engine independently to get an action group done. The other thing, I have kind of a mixed mode flight where I have action group 2, the jet is going to be on, the turbojet is going to be on, and the rocket engines are going to be on. Where's it at? Activate. I don't really need to use this mode with this design. It's so simple, but I just always put it in there. That is if there's a time where I have to throttle this way back, but I also want to start getting some delta V out of these engines, I can press 2 and it'll activate all the engines I've got. 3, of course, is going to be this engine shut down and these engines active. This is my basic space flight mode. When I have no atmosphere at all to run this engine, I'll shut down it and I'll just turn these guys on. So just by using these keys 1, 2, and 3 on my keyboard, that'll activate those different action groups, and then we will be able to go to space. This is actually a non-spaceless plane. Got that double negative action. Non-spaceless plane. Save. Launch. Let's take this guy up to orbit right quick. Alt, click on both, and toggle. Alt, click on both, and toggle. You can select multiple things and toggle. Yes, you can do that as well. A barrel roll in space is more difficult to do. Yeah, you're right. Like I said, a lot of people are typing their own ideas on it in chat. You can stage the groups, whatever makes sense to you. This is just the way that I do it. So now I can throttle up. Instead of hitting spacebar, I'm actually going to press 1. Oops, no RCS. And pressing 1 activates that engine, but you can see that these are also not gunned. White Chevy SS just said something cool as well. You can actually close an air intake. If you right-click, you can see there's an option to close the intake. You can actually close an air intake via the action group. You can do that. It really makes sense on craft that have a lot of air intakes or something like that, but I don't think that we need to use it on this one. Maybe we'll use it on the other bigger craft. That is something you can do. You can have like action group 4, toggle air intake. What's going to happen if I toggle this air intake right now? Poof! I flame out because the intake's closed and I don't get any more air. Let's fix that problem. So I'm going to put my gear up. Let's go for the super simple SSTO profile. This little guy should be able to do it. I actually don't know if he can, but this little guy should be able to do it. Right checks. Dude, right checks, thank you for enrolling in Kerbal Space Academy. We're doing, I know, a lot of you guys that have played at KSP yourself have been through this. You know all this stuff that I'm talking about. You're helping me out in chat, actually, which I really appreciate. If you know what I'm doing, if you have more to add, I totally appreciate people giving additional things, as long as it's not like an I know more than you sort of attitude, right? I appreciate people participating in the chat and helping me out with new information, other ideas, the way you do it. That's totally what this is all about. So I thank everybody for participating over there in chat. Because we're doing some totally super simple concepts, right? We are going to get onto a much bigger space plane coming up here. Let us see here. Reduces drag, yes. You're right. If you close them, it does reduce the drag a little bit. With a plane this small, that's this overbuilt, I think you don't really need to worry about it. There's not much drag in the upper atmosphere anyways. Yeah, basically, I mean, really, Scraggles, dude, that's an excellent point. By the time it's time to close them, you're already so far into space that it doesn't really matter. You know? So, I usually don't bother with it. Eeh. Let's see how we're doing here. We still have good intake air from that one intake. We're getting lots of velocity. We're going up at quite an angle. And notice all I'm doing, I'm flying up at basically a 45-degree angle to the horizon. What does that mean? Scroll back. The horizon is 90 degrees, or the horizon is 0 degrees. This would be 90 degrees. I'm at a 45-degree angle. That's what that means on the nav ball. And I'm basically just flying up at this 45-degree angle. When I start to lose thrust, I'm going to throttle it down. And let's see here. We still have thrust. Does throttling it up help? Nah, let's just leave it full throttle. I'm not even going to worry about throttling it down. We continue to go up into space, and I'm going to keep going up into space until that engine fires, until it flames out. We're still good. We're going a little bit steep. Let's see if with this super simple profile we can get this super simple space plane into a super simple orbit. Poof! When that flames out, we can turn these on. I honestly don't think that this is going to go to orbit. Do we have 1,000 meters per second of delta V in here? I don't know. Let's see if it goes. We are just going to keep burning. Oh, well, we already have a good apoapse. We're just going to keep burning until we get that apoapse up to 75. Altitude right now, 41. You know something? I have a feeling we'll make it. Let's burn till we get this up to 75. 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 75. Let's set a circularization node. You know something? I think with a super simple spaceplane, we're still going to be able to get to space. Set that. Click on the node. At the apoapse, actually. Click on the apoapse tag. Put a node. Pull it out until you get a periapse. Watch the other side of the planet to look for the periapse. There's a periapse. Quick trick. Not the most efficient way to do it, but you can actually, if you want to get a nice circular orbit, use this radial. This is radial in because I'm pulling it in towards the node. Use that to bring your apoapse back onto your current apoapse, and then give it more prograde. And wait, whoop, wait for him to flip just like that. That's actually 79. Let's see if we can go the other way. Yep. 75 by 75. If we can burn that, that's a nice circular orbit. That's a minute 46 seconds, and it's only 47 seconds out. We better burn right now. One example of me talking too much and not flying the craft enough. It's going to be a minute and 46-second burn. We only had 47 seconds, or 47 seconds, I think is what I saw. Let's see if we can get this burn done. Super weak, but insanely efficient. What are we talking about? Xenon gas and electric charge. Yeah. What are we talking about? Let's see here. Somebody, I think that's Ion, right? Yeah, somebody was talking about Ion. Dude, Wakofase. I'm totally going to call you Wakofase. That tip just fixed your OCD problems. Dude, just use a little bit of radial. If the apoapse goes one way, use a little bit of radial in. If the apoapse goes the other way, use a little bit of radial out. I drag it inwards because when I'm pulling it inwards, that gives you finer control over it. But that really makes it easy to, even though you don't click exactly on the apoapse because of the resolution of how you can click, that little tip helps you get really circular orbits planned. Now, I'm not going to be able to actually burn it exactly circular, but whatever. One big solar panel on each ion engine. We're talking about ion engines over here. We could have totally made this thing circularized with ion engines. But ah, yes. Joseph Mayer, dude, that is an excellent question. We are making a very simple craft here, but Joseph's question is, let me finish the burn and I'll read your question, Joseph, and we'll talk about how we can fix that. That is a very common problem, and there is a way to fix it. There we go, 2018. This is 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How did we do? Apoapse, 7-7. Periapse, 7-3. I didn't start burning soon enough. But the little tip there with the radial in to bring the apoapse back up to the current apoapse, that can help you get circular burns. That was planned correctly, executed poorly is what happened there. Wow. That can't be right. Oxidizer 1.25. Why does that say that's so high? Because of this stupid engine. Oh. We do not have enough to get Kenvin here out of orbit. What happened? That profile wasn't as efficient. And so what happened there, I needed to put a little bit more fuel in this. Basically, I needed to carry less liquid fuel and more oxidizer because we do not have enough to deorbit. Look at that. We only have 1.25 units. I'm like reading chat, answering questions while this burn is going, and I did not notice that this is not a good idea. We are stuck in space right now, basically. Let me get this question from Joseph. Joseph, the problem I had built a craft with 2 mirrored engines, and the flameout didn't happen at the same time. Isn't that awesome? So you may have seen that. If you have a plane that has engines, like say these were jet engines over on the side of this, when they flame out, they don't flame out at the same time. What you can do to solve that? Nice. We can push. We could totally push it. You want me to push it? It'll take too much time, guys. Let's go build a bigger space plane, right? What we're going to do, what happens there, Joseph, a really good thing to do there is to maybe put 3 engines on. And that way you can have 2 engines on the outside, 1 jet engine in the middle. When you start to run out of intake air, have an action group that turns off the 2 outside engines, but turns on the center engine. And then when that engine flames out, you can use all the oxygen you have. When that engine flames out, because it's in the center and it's on the center of mass, you won't get the crazy spin effect. The other thing you can do is just fly it a little bit more conservatively and manually shut those engines down before they flame out. You can see some people, you'll see some people right-clicking on it and monitoring the thrust. Basically, each engine will flame out at a certain, I think, fuel flow or thrust. And whenever it flames out, you can catch it before then, manually shut the engines down when you have them on in 2x symmetry, and then manually go to your rocket engines. Like an action group, pressing 3 on mine would do that. So, that is something that we could do. I don't know, we shouldn't really be doing a victory roll here, but we got an efficient last engine placed, make sure the engine is the last one placed. That may make, actually, Ferris of Fukuda, I've heard about that, but I think if you do a, what I was talking about, Fukuda, was manually shutting down the 2 outside outboard engines and then just leaving the center engine on manually, right? So not even letting the 2 outsides flame out. When you start to lose intake air, turn off those 2 engines manually with an action group and then fire up the rest of, what do we miss there? Let's see here. Yeah, bye-bye, Kenvin. Fire up the rest of the, what was I going to say? I'm reading chat at the same time. Fire up the center engine or leave the center engine going and manually shut down the 2 outboard motors. That's what I was going about. That's a good point, Quatitas. Kashua definitely does a lot of sort of stuff there. Use the mass driver. We do have the mass driver up here. We'd have to rendezvous. Luis Peleoto, I'm totally going to do that. Guys, last night we made a mass driver. We were able to deorbit things from space using the mass driver attached to the space station. So what I'll do during free play, which is going to start in 50 minutes, 50 minutes, I will actually deorbit this plane using the mass driver that's going to be on the space station. That's a great idea, Luis. I love it. I love it. Kenvin, you're stuck. You are totally stuck until we deorbit you. We will make a claw tug, we'll deliver him to the space station, and we will deorbit him using that tug or something along those lines. Snacks in his spare part of space pants. Nice. Let's go back to the Space Center, y'all. His name was Kenvin Kerman. Nice, right, checks. Everybody, while we do the scene change here, we're going to build a bigger, more complicated SSTO. If you're just joining us, my name is Dos Valdez. I do a thing called Kerbal Space Academy. We talk, in live stream, we talk about some of the concepts of Kerbal Space Academy, or Kerbal Space Program. Tonight we're doing the basics of an SSTO. We just went through all the basics, pretty much all the basics of an SSTO. We may have missed some things. There are some more advanced concepts we could get into. But we flew that little plane. We got it into orbit a couple times using a couple different launch profiles. And that was Kerbal Space Academy SSTOs. I also do... Nice. I'm reading chat. Get rid of that chat. I can't read that. I also do sessions just about every weeknight in other topics. I do designing a lander for the moon. I do lunar missions. I do farming science for Minimus. My first orbit, rendezvous and docking. We actually did a rendezvous and docking Eurostream. If you're interested in those topics, if you drop me a follow here, we will totally get you going. I always tweet out what I'm going to do the session on before I actually fire it up, and you are welcome to join me for any of those sessions where we'll cover one thing in depth. If you don't think you're good at rendezvous and docking, follow me for a 2-hour rendezvous and docking Kerbal Space Academy session. You will know all the basic concepts, how to control the craft, how to build the craft, how to get the rendezvous by the end of the session. Anyways, let's go build a bigger space plane. We had said, actually, while I let's see here. While I go back to the scene change, before I get on this non-spaceless plane, that sounds good. I'm going to save that guy. We can always come back to him later. There's lots of improvements to be made to him. He's not perfect. Let me see if I missed any questions. Should we go to stream at 8? No problem, Sleepy. No worries. Right checks. Poison gold. Xenon gas and electric charge. Yes, we were talking about those. We could totally got. I think we probably could have got him to orbit using that. We would have had a lot less mass because we wouldn't have needed all that oxidizer. One big solar panel for each ion engine. Yes. We answered that one from Joseph. Joseph, I hope that got you there, man. Put one engine in the center and put 2 on the outboard. Turn off the outboards manually. Let the middle one flame out. Or be more conservative and cut out the 2 outboard engines manually using an action group and go to your rocket engines. That'll keep your craft from spinning if you have that asynchronous flame out. OCD, yes. Get out and push, yes, yes, yes. Claw rescue, yes, 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 yes. I do read my chat, I'm not lying. I read my chat and I answer the questions that come in. And that is the hazard of not going to space in an efficient manner. Thetor, you're exactly right. We got it to space, he's going to need to be rescued once. Normal fuel, there you go. Mass driver, yep, got that. Left his snakes? I think you were talking about snacks, Dylan. I hope you were talking about snacks. Kenvin left his snacks in his spare pair of space pants. 112 viewer hype. Everybody here, Kerbal Space Academy, thank you so much. Poison Gold, how do you do the rounded structural parts? Stick around for free play after this, and I'll show you how I do the rounded structural parts on the station. It's just a bit of a trick in the VAB. We can definitely do that. What did I miss? Yeah, Dylan Britt, that's what we're doing. We're going over the basics. If you have questions, you can ask me questions and I'll answer them. I'm going through the stuff. Having a funeral for Jeb. Can we have a moment of silence? If I had a moment of silence every time a Kerbal died, I would never be able to open my mouth. Can we go to Mars? Banana, join me for an interplanetary transfers mission, and I will cover in depth the interplanetary transfers. Luis, that's a nice image. I've never seen that before. That's awesome, Luis. All right, y'all. We had a new craft that we wanted. We wanted to be able to carry 8. Let's just pull a number. 8 Kerbals up to the orbital station. Wow, could I do it different? Yeah, I could totally do it differently. Let's see if we can do this. No, that's just showing off. We don't need to show off. That looks pretty cool, but that wouldn't be very cool. Oh, nice. K9 with the Kerbal. I'm not pushing that too much right now because I need to get more craft. I do want to start uploading more things to Kerbal X. The ships that we make here, I want to upload to Kerbal X so that you can actually download the same ships that we build and fly them yourselves. There's just a couple. There's a couple ships there right now, but yeah, K9, thanks for putting that link over there. Sleepy, the OP engine that we were using is this little Rockomax 487S. That engine right there that looks like that. It's the babyest Rockomax right there. Such low mass, really good thrust. It's really the thrust weight on the engine and okay efficiency. That's the OP engine. So let's see here. We've got this. We need to carry 8 Kerbals up. This is going to be our pilot speaking. We'll take 8 Kerbals up there. I'm going to need a docking port on the front because I am going to the station. So let's put this docking port. By the way, guys, this docking port has some cool animations. If you want, it's more efficient just to use this one. Check it out. 0.05 mass on the regular Clampatron. 0.1 mass on this. You can save a whole lot of mass if you just use the regular one. But honestly, it doesn't have the cool animation, and it looks pretty dumb on the front of a space plane. That looks totally aerodynamic. I mean, you know, you could totally have something that blows off of it or something, I guess. An explosive nose cone that comes off after you get to space. I'm just going to go with this for now. We'll be able to handle the extra mass. What else do we need? What else do we need? Orbiters are a more advanced thing. Can I do a space shuttle? Guys, all the other things, this isn't going to be a space shuttle. One of my rules is that if you can do a Google search for it and you come up with a couple people who have already done it, I usually don't do those things in my challenges. We can sometimes, but if it's been done 100 times, ooh, Das, take a single red tank on a freaking tour of the solar system on a grand tour. I try not to do those things. So let's see here. Wings, air intakes. Everybody's telling me what I need already. Let's do this. We'll add parts slowly but surely. Where is this part? It looks quasi-aerodynamic. We could totally have done... Could we have done that? See, but I don't have the crew part yet. We'll be able to make such cooler new crew parts. Wait, K9 officer is now following the channel? What? I'm confused. We'll be able to make such cooler space planes when 0.25 comes out with the new space plane parts. I'm just going to make do with stock KSP right now. This is not going to look nearly as cool as some of the new stuff that's coming up in 0.25. But let us toss some crew hitchhikers on here. Where are you at, crew hitchhikers? There you go, 2. And I said I wanted to get this to orbit. It's going to look a little dumb, honestly. What can you do? There are other parts that are a little bit better. These structural fuselage pieces. But they just don't look good. The way the symmetry is just doesn't look good because I don't have a crew storage piece that fits with these yet, right? You can make a really cool plane with these parts, but there's no crew storage module that fits in that symmetry. So anyways, I can use the ejection tower to blow off the nose. You know something? Let's do it. Let's totally do that just for fun. Let's put a regular Clampatron. That's going to be heavier than just the other nose cone, by the way, because the ejection tower weighs 1.1. You know something? We'll still be able to get it to space. 8 Kerbals to space with a probe controlling it. We could totally do that. I'm going to go ahead and have a pilot so you can do like, this is your captain speaking. Sort of deal. I'll have a pilot. That's going to take too much time. Let's just go ahead and go with this. Keep it simple. In the interest of time. 42 minutes remaining in the stream. For the Kerbal, use the cupola. It looks better. Use the cupola for a space plane? That's awesome. I'm gonna go with this. Let's see here. The Mark 1-2 pod. You mean like this guy? Let's see. The Mark 1-2. Where's the Mark 1-2? Oh, that thing for space planes that looks cooler. I'm just gonna go with this. Let's just roll with this and be done with it. Let's see here, because that Mark 1-2 is 4 tons, and this little pod I'm using is 1 ton. Let's save that for other things. I've got this. And I really want my center of mass to be the same once I add my fuel tanks. So there, the center of mass is way a bit to the front right now. We're going to need to add some engines. Let's see if we can't solve that problem that we had. Let us go with, not the rapiers, those are overdone. Let us go with something that looks like this. Not even sure this is going to be good. I've got the part that can give me 2 engines. Like that. Okay. Let's go with some of these in 2x symmetry. This is going to look a lot like the shuttle that's already up at the Hilton, by the way. But let's do... Ooh, look at that. We're going to have to put those engines on. I'll explain what I'm doing when I get to those parts. So there we've got that. That's starting. It's like a X-wing crew transport almost. It's honestly kind of cool. Spartan, remind me to read that. Remind me to read that whenever we were taking off. Crispy Unibrownies, no, I hear that 0.25 is going to be coming out pretty soon because the hype train is definitely picking up steam for it. But I don't know exactly when it's going to come out. Let's go ahead and put those turbojet engines on here and see how it works. Or maybe I want my turbojet engines on there and then bigger engines on these. Let's see how that works. That doesn't make a lot of sense. What else could we do? Aerospikes? Totally do some aerospike action on there. What engine should I use? 4 of those things would be totally boring, wouldn't it? 4 of those things definitely looks like it would be completely and totally boring. I don't even know if it would go to space that way. Let's see. 2x symmetry. There we go. Let's get these. I don't know if I like these. Somebody, if you've got a better engine for me to use, let me know. I kind of like the warning tape on these. That looks kind of cool. Let's see here. There we go. Those engines stick way off the back. One thing about using these structural elements like this, the engines stick so far off the back. I almost wish that we had fuel up here, but that would definitely throw me off. The 909 equals garbage. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Let's see. No nerve rockets. Yeah, right. XXL wing Mark II. I don't know. I mean, I kind of like that. I don't know. DOS raid. What? Are you raiding me? Red, are you raiding me by yourself? Nice. Use the LV-75s? Aren't those the radials? What are the LV-75s? B909. Poodles. 75s? Did you mean 45s or am I an idiot? I don't know of an LV-75. 6 rapiers. Boring. Let's see how this is going to go. I don't know. I don't know if this is going to go. Looks at the engines. Is it going to run out of power with the 50 kilonewton engines? That's 200 total because we have 5 of them. But basically we're getting 200 total for 2 tons. Which we could get 200 total out of 1.5 tons if we used a single one of these, right? Let's fly it. We can always play with it. We'll use a mainsail. I'll just toss a mainsail on it. We could always put a poodle in 4 of these. What if we try that? What if we try a poodle in 4 of these engines? Maybe that'll be cool. The poodle doesn't get enough love, honestly. But it was rebalanced in the last release. And I do very much like... Yes! Poodle love. Give it a little poodle action because the poodle does not get near enough love, I don't think. Please just let me put those on with symmetry. There we go. No. There we go. Oh, that actually looks kind of cool. Some poodle love. That actually looks kind of cool. If we took this off, it would look like that dude from, what is it? Ice Age? The sloth from Ice Age, if we took these off? That's what it would look like. That actually looks pretty cool. Mark 55 radial engines, yeah. Electric power. Alright. A lack of alternator, yes. This actually looks kind of cool. Can you feel the poodle tonight? Let's put some lift on this bad boy. That looks hideous. What if the wings stuck off the front, though? I mean, the other thing we could do is we could totally get rid of this long thing. Let's see here. Our center of mass is towards the back. We need jet fuel towards the front, I think. We really need jet fuel towards the front. I wonder, would it look terrible, but still be balanced if I used one of these parts? Oh, that part actually doesn't look too bad. Yeah, that looks a little bit terrible, but that does move our center of mass, and it gives us some jet fuel, which we need. It honestly looks really terrible from the front, but what can you do? This is kind of, with this one, isn't there another one that's a little bit better? No, we don't want to make the thing like this. Like sticking way off the front, right? Why don't we want to do that? I mean, could I this? Even that doesn't, it just doesn't quite work. Those parts just don't quite line up. Let's just toss this part on here. RCS build aid. Is this part going to screw with me? It's going to screw with me a little, because it must have a center of mass that's a little bit high. It's honestly a little lame. But it does give us storage for jet fuel, and it brings our center of mass up to the front. Put some flaps on the front. A skipper would be epic. Make it a proper X-wing. Make that front end long, Ridderick. Nice. I think that's going to be way too much fuel, though. I don't think we're going to need that much fuel. Let's see here. If we do like a part like this, and then this, that's going to put our... Yeah. Those parts, the center of mass on those parts just kills me. It just kills me the way that works. We could totally flip them upside down, though. Like that. That actually doesn't look... That's actually got a little bit of a Serenity vibe going. I'll do it. Brown coats unite. Let's see here. That... I'm not sure that that's going to work. Let's try the Delta wings. These things don't really put up that much lift. Let's try these Delta wings. And we're just going to basically wingspan. Where are you at, Delta wings? There we go. There we go. Why is it saying that I'm going to rotate? Oh, it helps if you put wings on in 2x symmetry. Let's put that there. So some things that I'm trying to accomplish here, right? There we go. Look at that. That's actually not bad. That actually looks kind of cool. Honestly. And we've got storage space for stuff down on the bottom if we need. We've got a little bit of guard action. So where is our center of lift? A little bit behind our center of mass. This thing is going to fly like a freaking brick because there's no fuel in the back. Stick a tiny straw. Firefly or right? Shiny! I like it! I like it. Thank you. And it did not end prettily. Let's see what we could use the 3.57 meters. Firefly class transport or riot. I don't know. I'm going to have to put some wings on her, guys. I'm not going to make her... we're doing SSTOs. We could do a Serenity stream one night. I wonder how this would fly. I bet you this would not be enough mass. The other thing is it's going to be pretty darn hard to put landing gear on this. Let's take her out for a test flight. Let's do this. I really want those to be tucked in a little bit more, as low as we can go. So really maybe I should put them out here using the C trick, right? Because that is going to tuck them in a little bit more. And I want them to be a little bit further. Here's something we didn't talk about before. I'll fix it. If it doesn't turn out well, I'll fix it. So we'll put those gears back there. Move the ugly Mark III parts. Use the 3.75 in tank instead? The 3.75 tank instead? But it's not a cone. It's not a cone. I was trying to do the cone. I don't think that looks bad, and it gets the Firefly vibe. Let's see if we can go to space like this. Guys, you know what the problem's going to be. How much is this going to affect us? Not that bad, actually. Taking all that jet fuel out is not going to affect us that bad. Huh. Interesting. Guys, Dylan, DK had some other stuff going on IRL tonight, is what was going on with DK, so he was not streaming this evening, and that's why Squad graciously allowed me to fill in for the stream. Let's see if I can put single X symmetry like that. That's going to be too far forward, so let's see if we can't put it a little bit more up here. Luis, I don't disagree, dude. I don't disagree that these are not the best looking parts. That looks terrible. It honestly looks terrible. I almost hope that this doesn't fly. Winglets in front. Let's put some canards in front. It is going to pull our center of lift way to the front though. That's not very Serenity looking. We can always pull them. How about standard canards? Let's try to fly her without it. Let's try to fly her without it. And maybe we actually need them. But how should I do those? Could I do... Oh, these things are not exactly even. Let's make the wings even at least. Does that look good? Yeah, that looks good. Let's see here. What else do we need? Let's see if she even is able to fly first. She's got almost no SAS control. We could totally give her buku SAS control like this. We could totally do that. And we're going to have to put some air intakes on it, right? So let's see if we can't put some air intakes on. You apparently didn't say the magic word. It's because it's clipping through that tank on the bottom. That's okay. Stupid Kerbal tricks. If it doesn't go on with 2x symmetry, a lot of times it'll go on with 1x symmetry. Okay. Let's see if it flies. I honestly don't think... Oop, control surfaces. Yes, intakes. Thank you. You guys got my back. Physics is going to decide it's too ugly to fly. Let's try it, though. Let's try it. 2x symmetry. This is also going to pull my center of lift back a little bit. I am almost sure that that's too far back. I feel like I need it to be closer to the front. Like that. And like that. And let's give it a try. Hopefully it crashes and we can build a better looking craft, right? Anyways, we were just playing around. Made a K-wing. Yes, I did. Thank you. Dude Spartan also with the bag up there. Center of left will go back once I put... Ooh, yes. What do we look like when we have very little liquid fuel left? It goes right onto it. And that would mean that those things are empty. Let's just try to fly it. We can always tweak it later. Guys, we need the action groups. We still have 30 minutes to play with this guy. I don't think it's going to have enough lift. It's also not going to have tail fins. It needs a tail fin. Control groups. Captain speech! Somebody pasted. This is like the F4 Phantom. Anything can fly with enough engines. Nice, Dylan. That's actually the first model I ever made as a kid. Was an F4 Phantom that has been hanging in my room for probably 25, probably 30 years at this point. This is a very, very, very old F4 Phantom. Action groups. 1. Activate all air intakes engines. Toggle engine. Nope, not toggle, Joss. Activate engine. Activate engine. Shut down that poodle. I can't imagine us ever using a poodle and these jet intakes at the same time. But let's do activate engine. Activate engine. Activate engine. And remember, again, it's getting the top group that I put on with the top symmetry and the bottom group. Custom 3. Activate this engine. Top group of engines, shut down. This group of engines, shut down. Guys, let's just see if it flies. We can always add things like RCS and control authority and that sort of stuff later. Let us see. SSTO designs. Definitely something you need to work on. Let's see here. Fine, use solid boosters. Still needs some canards. It probably does need canards. Let's go ahead and launch it and see how terrible it flies. I know a lot of you are probably hoping that it crashes so that we make a different plane design. Rabata, thank you. Got my back. This plane is not going to work very well because we did not put fuel lines. We missed fuel lines on it. Thank you, Rabata. That was a good catch. And I do appreciate catches. See if she at least sits on the runway correctly. Well, she sits on the runway correctly. That's good. I really wish she had more angle of attack. Let's see here. Let's go to the revert flight. Back to the spaceplane hangar. Caboose. Ugh, internet. It's not pointy enough. Softcore, we gotta have a docking port. We do have to have a docking port. Maybe we could put a docking port somewhere else. That would honestly make a lot of sense. Yes. Let's do that. I like that idea. You there. Go away. You there. Look cooler, please. That actually looks kind of cool. Not gonna lie. And we'll put the docking port on the bottom, like down here. We'll put a docking port on the bottom. Physics is this. Thy physics is not compatible with 32-bit file. Nice. Center of lift, center of mass, center of thrust. Fuel lines is why we came back here. We need fuel lines. So we are going to need fuel lines to take fuel from the middle out, right? Middle out. And we are also going to need fuel lines to take fuel from the outside in. So the Poodle's fuel is stored in the pylons on the outside, and the jet engine's fuel is stored in the... Yep, got them all. Stored in the center. That looks terrible. Whatever. So let us go ahead. Are we all good with center mass? Yeah. Let's see if this thing flies. I almost hope it doesn't because it looks hideous. Use the linear docking part. I need to send oxidizer from nacelles in. Yep, you got it. What's up, Dick Van Dyke? How's it going? In this room feeling the alias. Didn't see the docking port. Yeah. The inline docking port, we'll put it. We'll put the docking port on the actual crew containers and pretend that they can float through it. Let's see if this terrible looking craft flies. If it looks stupid but it works, it's probably still stupid. First thing, we'll see if we have enough thrust. We need to be able to get going 100 meters per second on the runway. Let's see if we can actually take it off. Starting to veer. Not good. Ah! And that's a problem. So what that problem was telling me... My copy DOS can fly. Nice. Let's see here. That one did not work very well. That wasn't good, right? It totally crashed. Let's go ahead and revert to... Let's try to fly it one more time. We will revert to the launch and see if there's anything we can do to keep it going straight down the runway. I was looking at it from the side, and I shouldn't have been looking at it from the side. That is... apparently you can take the sky from this craft. Let's go ahead and throttle up and try that again. I started to veer, and I think it may have been wheelbarrow effect. I'm going to try to push my tail end down on the runway. Nope, look at me veering. Let's see if with downforce on the tail, if I can't keep this thing going straight. This going 100 meters per second and not lifting off is a clear sign of not having enough lift. Can I barely take it off? Yes, it looks like that little bit of a line there. This thing looks like a duck that was never meant to fly, honestly. Evolution would have weeded this out a long time ago. But, yeah. I was able to get it off the ground with piloting. The fact that I was going 100 meters per second and not lifting my gear off the runway is a clear sign that this craft does not have enough lift. What can we do to get more lift? There is actually quite a bit of stuff that we can do, and some of it will look pretty cool. Yasman, that's exactly where I got it from. I got it from Juan Valdez. Hills, fresh coffee, straight from the hills of Colombia. On the back of his trusty burro. That's how I got the name Juan Valdez. Revert to spaceplane hangar. Let's spam some lift. We're going to ruin the view. Thy physics has crashed. Yaw, roll control. Spartan, we need that too. More canards. Yes, we need that. Boosters. Here's what we can do. Let's spam some more wings in here, right? So I'm actually going to put some wings pointed down like that. And then on the bottom, I'm actually going to put some wings pointed up like this. That looks kind of cool, honestly. You don't have a great view from the windows. But let's say that it actually it looks like something out of Gundam or something. That looks pretty cool. Let's see how that thing flies. Apparently they all have control surfaces, which is probably a little overkill. And the other thing we might need, is there anything we can do to get control out here? Can I rotate these guys up? That doesn't really look right. Honestly, I wish there was kind of just a flat piece, you know? This piece doesn't really work for what we want. It is too long, right? There are only 6 directions, DOS. How do you... That looks dumb. Dumb. I wonder if we could just put some control surfaces. Does this even work? Can I just put some vertical control surfaces out here? Like on these middle things? Because that would be kind of cool. I mean, is that even legit? Honestly? I don't know. Could I do it? Maybe if I put them up here? Let's see here. There we go. Only 6 directions, DOS. You can never choose the correct one first. I don't know. Is that going to completely crash the craft? Let's go. Yeah, did I just reference? I have no rudder control. Now I have rudder control with this wonky rudder action on the side. Let's see how that works. Check my center of mass versus my center of lift. It didn't actually change it very well because the wings were definitely right there on the middle. Let's go see if this ridiculously looking animal flies. Lame duck. AKA, you can take the sky from me. There we go. Save, launch. Let's go crash this thing. Looks legit. Ghost Wolf, I grew up way down south in South Texas. So I had a lot of Hispanic people that were good friends back in high school. And that's where the nickname came from. Needs more mainsail. Let's see how this works. Maybe we've spammed enough lift on this ridiculous looking spaceplane to be able to take off. I'm going to spam that downwards control. The problem is that also brings us up. Look, she's already flying a little bit better. Just a little bit of control to take us off down the runway. Get me 100 meters per second. That is still not taking us off. I think we may need to try and solve this with angle of attack. Because look, either I am still low on lift, or something is pushing me down on the runway so hard. SAS probably. Oh no! Made it to the end of the runway. Needs more cowboy. So let's see here. You would totally fly in that? Yes, Das is German. So what's going on here? Right? The problem is I've got SAS on, and as I do SAS back, that is trying to nose me up. But it is also trying to... That's cool. It's also trying to... Good thing I had more wings, right? Let's go ahead and toggle this thing up some more. That's not right. That's right there. Let's see. I don't have... I know what the problem is. We definitely have a problem. We should be able to fix it. It may actually be kind of cool when we actually fix it. But the problem is that I don't have a lot of upwards control authority. Just stay with me, girl. To the end of the runway. She'll probably fly when she gets to the end of the runway. We just have no control authority telling her to take off. Look at that, right at the end. Yes! Yes, to space, you lame duck. To space. So, we've got her going. We've got more lift. We don't have any control authority. Will it actually let me? Yeah, that's actually looking good. Do I fly straight? I could use a little bit more lift for this, but that's okay. Here's the problem, right? In the spaceplane hangar, the problem is that if you have a control surface, like an elevator or an aileron, that's too close to the center of mass, you have absolutely zero lever arm to act on that control surface. So check this out. I've got these control surfaces right here. The distance to the center of mass is almost nothing. These control surfaces have almost zero lever arm. Even though they're freaking huge, they have almost zero lever arm to help me take off. It's like the amount of force that they can apply by deflecting an airstream upwards like that is not getting a lot of multiplication by a lever effect between there and there. So if you put your control surfaces straight on the center of mass, that's a problem. There's a couple different ways that we can fix it, right? We could move these wings way back, and we could put the thingies with the front. This right here, these canards in the front. We could put those in the front. That would average our center of lift a little bit. The other thing you can do is put control surfaces further back. Let's see if this works. So basically what I'm saying is that when I'm giving it full up stick, I'm not starting to take off. It is actually also acting like it needs a little bit more lift. Could I need to put a control surface on another control surface? Yes, you can. It looks like a lame duck. Yes, it is. It's working. It's working. Let's try a couple different things here. Let's give her more angle of attack. All I'm doing, I'm moving this gear further to the back, and that will angle the plane up a little bit more as it sits on the runway. How much? I'm not sure. Let's try that first. Let's see if just angle of attack fixes it. Then we're going to come back and try to fix these canards so that they're a little bit further back. Let's launch this and see how it goes. Those aren't canards. Those are control surfaces. Dylan Britt 450. I don't use Ferrum Aerospace because when I do Kerbal Space Academy things, I try to really leave it as mostly stock apart from informational mods so that people who are just getting started in the game can kind of get the basic concepts. After we get 2.5, I'm going to have 2 KSP installs, and I'm actually let's see if that takes off. I'm going to have 2 KSP installs, one for my career mode where I'll use things like Deadly Reentry and Ferrum Aerospace and that sort of stuff. But for KSP, apart from the informational mods, I'm going to try and keep it as stock as possible just to keep it accessible for more people. That is really what I'm looking for. Let's see if that angle of attack keeps me going straight down the runway. We've got plenty of thrust. We still don't have enough lift. There we go. That worked. So what did I do? What was the only change I made to that plane, right? The only change that I made to that plane was I moved the landing gear a little bit back, and then it took off just fine. How cool is that? Honestly. There we have that. Now we are taking off. That plane looks ridiculous. We're just making it with stock parts, though. That's also why I don't have other types of Dylan. Dylan, your full name gets used too much. All right, Dylan, I'll try to just call you Dylan. I did not catch. Earth may be mostly harmless. Dude, grab your towel. I didn't catch it just because of that. So, what this craft is telling me, right? This craft is talking to me in a couple different ways. It's telling me that it doesn't really have enough lift. It could use some more lift because these things are so freaking massful. It's also apparently doing some really weird fuel for routing. It's pulling fuel out of there. It's pulling fuel out of there, and it's pulling fuel out of there. I know why it's doing that, but I'm not going to worry about it. It's basically that all of those things are equidistant from, they're the same number of hops from one of these engines. Let's see if this thing will go to space. I don't know if it's going to go to space or not because of the lift. But it is definitely taking off. Let's see if we can get it to space. Cobbler, X-Wing, S-foils on a Y-Wing. We were just spamming wings, basically. So, guys, when .25 comes out, this craft is going to look so much more spectacular because we get in .25 the different spaceplane parts, and we'll actually not have to use things like hitchhikers to carry craft. We'll get those really awesome-looking spaceplane things. This plane, in fact, I will make a plane after 2.5 comes out that has the exact same mission requirements, going up to the station, delivering at least 8 Kerbals, 1 flight crew. I'll make a plane that has those same requirements with the new .25 parts, and that plane is going to look freaking spectacular. It will look absolutely spectacular. Poison Gold, thanks for stopping by. Take it easy. I do try to catch some buys on the way as well. But let's see here. When .25 comes out, this plane is going to look so much cooler. We're not going to have to spam the same amount of stuff. We're going to have those better cockpits. We're going to have the better crew modules. It's going to be a lot better. A lot better. Let's see what else we have. I made another... This is like a freaking I don't even know wing, right? And we made it fully stock parts. We're seeing if we can get it to space. Let's talk about my launch profile a little bit. For this guy, I am definitely going to need a very efficient launch profile. In my launch profile, look at that air intake. We're going to need more intakes as well. We are going to need a lot more intakes, honestly. What we're going to do is we're going to fly her up to about 15. And when we get her to 15, I'm Hoopy Frood. It's like a Pan-Galactic Gargle Blaster. What I'm going to do is when I get up to about 15, I'm going to start leveling off. What I want is to get as much speed from the atmospheric, the air-breathing engines, as I possibly can, right? I'm going to continue doing this. I want... Do you hear that? They're starting to run out of intake air. I want to level off. I don't want to be going up that fast, because if I don't level off, I'm going to be in trouble. So I got to watch the intake air. I can also watch the thrust. I don't know which one's going to flame out first. I'm just going to watch it. And when I start to hear them spool down, when they start to spool down, that's going to mean that they're not getting enough thrust. Come on, level off. Oh, they're actually spooling up. They like that. They like what's going on here. I don't want to go down, though. I don't want to start losing altitude. Let's just get as much altitude as we can. I mucked that up a little bit because I started to lose. See up here? I started to go down. I don't want to do that. I want to start gaining this altitude. Come on. Pick me back up, girly. Get me some vertical speed. I do not want to be going down into the thicker atmosphere. I want to be going up into the thinner atmosphere. There we go. Come on. It's actually getting harder for my engines to push. You can see the shock heating, right? That's not a good spaceplane launch profile if you've got that shock heating. But I need to just keep pulling it up. Now I've got some vertical speed. I'm going to get back up into the thinner atmosphere. Let's just roll with this right here. Let's roll with this and see if we're going to see how much speed we can get out of this. I hear him starting to spool down, I think. I definitely hear him. Hey Das, does my Kerr have the... I don't actually use them up there, but that is an excellent point. That Kerbal Engineer actually has some of those numbers in more detail than you can get from here. We're starting to spool down. That means we're starting to lose thrust a little bit. This plane needs more lift still. It still doesn't have quite enough lift. Ludford, this guy probably shouldn't be piloting it either. When I start to spool down, I am getting lots and lots of velocity out of these air-breathing engines. How am I on that? I've used about 200. I still have another 160 in the tank. Okay. Still spooling down, but we're still accelerating. I like this. I like this a lot. Let me see if I can squeeze a little bit more out of it. Don't start going down on the vertical speed. I can actually... I didn't put her Kerbal Engineer on here. But it's spooling down. That means she's going to flame out pretty soon. But if we can get 15 or 1600 meters per second before they start to flame... F5 for safety. Before they start to flame out, I actually want to throttle them down. When you throttle them down, that means they need less intake air. But that also means they make less thrust. I know when that gets to about 60, we're going to die. We're still getting speed, though. We're still getting speed. I'm only at 31. I'm going up at 100. One intake air. We could use some more intake. We could use more lift, and we could use more intake air. So we're still gaining speed. Look at this. I'm just getting altitude. I'm just gaining speed. I want as much speed as I can. Up! Cut them all. There they flamed out because I wasn't watching them. So, go ahead and switch to full this mode. We can recover. We got a little bit of time here. Because I was so high up. I didn't cut them soon enough. I needed to monitor them and cut them. Let's go ahead and see if we can't get to orbit using this engine. I do not know that we'll be able to. This is where Kerbal Engineer would really come in handy. We're definitely burning that down. But this engine is pretty efficient and we have lots of fuel on it. In fact, we could probably carry a lot of fuel. 8 intakes per engine. I didn't listen! Watch out, asymmetric flame out. We knew it was coming. We knew it was coming. I wanted to show what happens when it flames around. Let me see if we're going to F5 for Salt Kappa. What? I don't feel like this is going to go to space, but it does have an awful lot of fuel. Oh, we're still going vertical, so we're not falling down. I feel like we could use a lot more speed than this. More lift and more air intakes would be very good for this craft. Salt Kappa. There you go. You meant to do that. Well, I didn't show an asymmetric flame out before. And remember how I said we could fix it? We could actually, we could put one more engine there and we could cut it and have like one more engine on the bottom. You love it when I say things are on purpose. If you honestly think that I've never flamed out an engine like that before, I don't know what to tell you. That is part of flying. It looks like I'm actually losing a little vertical speed. Nah, it's okay. Because this number is so high, I think I'm going to make it. This is not the most efficient burn, but basically what I'm doing, I am trying to get my apoaps. Take the B-wing out. Let me see how our apoaps looks. Our apoaps right now is at 54, and we're basically just burning up at this angle until we get that apoaps up to 75. I have a feeling we're going to go to space. We're burning that liquid fuel. Look at this. Here's a very interesting thing, right? We needed to carry more liquid fuel with us. That is okay. That's okay. Because look, right now our ratio of liquid fuel to oxidizer is a lot bigger. There are two things we could do. We could pull oxidizer out of this craft. So what am I up right now? I'm up like 300 oxidizer right now. So honestly, if I took 100 oxidizer out of each tank, that would help me balance this, right? 54, 2167, what's the apoaps? Wow. This is definitely a space plane. I will tell you that it was not the design of this plane that got us here. It was more so the piloting and the overbuilding. It was not the fact that this was a very good, what's an apoap? An apoap. What were we saying? Put 4 of the engines in the back using 3 of the double stack. We could totally put the 4 engines there. Yeah, we could do that. Yep, we are good to go. So a couple things that we could do, right? Let's improve this plane. We're overburdened on our 950, 650, 350. Yeah, we're overburdened on our oxidizer. What I mean is we're carrying too much oxidizer for the fuel we have left. Even if we burned out the rest of this liquid fuel, we would have oxidizer left over. That is wasted oxidizer. We might as well not carry that in the plane. So I'm going to remove 100 oxidizer from each of these tanks. That's what we'll do first. The second thing, more lift. Maybe let's not really worry about that. What else could we have done better? More intakes. We'll put a little bit more intakes on there. That is definitely something we can do. What else could we do? Physics, da-da-da-da-da. Apop's the highest point of your orbit there, Mr. Jessman. Put 4 engines on the back using 3 of the double-stacked structural parts. Huh? I didn't quite miss that. Make a B-wing. Submitted, denied. To answer the question there, I don't have Kerbal Engineer installed on this craft. I was just seeing if it would get to orbit. I actually didn't expect it to get to orbit. Let's revert it. Let's fix some problems, and let's launch it again. All right, so revert to spaceplane hangar. Apogee. Yeah, it's Apogee in real life because it's geocentric, the Earth, right? Apo-aps, I think, is the generic term for the highest point over a body. Let us see here. I said more intakes. How could we do that? We could totally spam a couple intakes on the middle, which I wouldn't be feeling too bad about. And we need to take about 100. Yeah, there you go. You got it. Apogee refers to Earth apoaps because of the G. Let's set this down to 340, I guess. 352 will work. 352 will work. That's actually going to take a good amount of mass out of our craft, which is good. What else can we do? We've got the wings. We've got that. We've got the poodle back there. Our center of mass should still be good. Yeah, that's okay. Anything else? Intakes. Put the double engine adapter on the back, then 2 more on that. 4 engines on the back of the hitchhiker. Why wouldn't we just use one of these? Because we could totally just use the quad X engine adapter like that and put 4 engines on there. We could do that, honestly. Let's do that. Look, this may make our craft a lot more efficient. Look at this. Let's put this there. No, not like that. Let's put that. Let's put our turbojet engines there. 2x symmetry apparently. Is this very much broken in the spaceplane hangar? Because it doesn't grok. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. That actually looks pretty interesting. And I bet you know what we could do? We could put those little engines on here. I wonder if this will get us to orbit. 127 viewers, no kidding? That's freaking awesome. Let's see, that is okay. And we're actually going to remove a lot of mass off the craft by doing this. Check this out. I had that one poodle in there. This is actually going to mean we can take the fuel. Where are you at, little thing that I am looking for? This guy right there. Can you do 2x symmetry for me? No, of course you can't. There we go. There we go. That actually looks pretty cool, and then we'll put the little OP engines on there. And then we can actually remove all those fuel lines, although I don't know that I want to do that. Let's see here. We've got that. 4 poodles, yes. Retro SA, thank you for the follow. Let's grab these little overpowered engines, which we love. Let's just prove that you don't need to have mainsails or nuclear engines or anything like that for your spaceplane. Look at that. That actually looks really cool. I have a feeling that we're taking way too much fuel out of these. Let us do this. Let us do this. Just remove those fuel lines. And what do we have there? We have those things going in. Let's see how that works. Let's see how that works. That would be cool. Sleepy, the Delta V needed for a moon takeoff. Can somebody toss up? Yeah, Thader, dude, you're awesome. Thank you, chat, for helping me out. I totally like that when chat answers questions from people. That is freaking awesome. We will also go ahead and put this guy on here, and then we're going to shoot for an orbital rendezvous. Not that. Where's my Kerbal Engineer? That's a Dr. Pepper can. That's not Kerbal Engineer. And then I'm going to see how I can put more of these things on. Let's put a couple more intakes on. I'll put an intake there. That looks pretty cheaty, honestly. Those parts have such bad symmetry. Let's just put an intake there just because. And I bet you I could spam a couple intakes into here. That looks pretty good, obviously. I mean, it doesn't look too cheaty. They're not really spammed in. That's not really too many. SYGGY1394. Thank you for the follow. Let's see what we can do with this. I honestly wish we had more intakes, and it would be cool if we had some other parts there. I don't have SAS. I need to toss SAS on it right quick. More Dr. Pepper. 1.88 thrust to weight with those engines involved. It's not going to be very much thrust to weight to those, but it'll be okay. Let us see. Got that. Need the docking port on the bottom. Grab the whole craft and move it up. Then we'll put the docking port somewhere down here on the center of mass. There we go. That should be... No, that was 2x symmetry.